That was intense. All right. Well, blessings to you guys. I'm going to get into this evening, coming in with signs, wonders, and miracles apparently already. That's crazy. I just started live streaming and it started playing Apostle Giles saying, I'm coming in with the word of the Lord. So, well, let's see what God has on tonight's live stream. So, yeah, so God is good. And, you know, he's also, as I mentioned, I have been sharing, these indicators, and I wanted to just give you guys an update for the powerful crypto prediction tool, right? The powerful crypto prediction tool. All right. That being said, guys, I went ahead and brought forth to you this eve the portal that we call TradingView. That being said, guys, I wanted to point out to you real quick, like right chon. See the green dot that it printed? Okay. That green dot was the Pro Trade Manager. Okay. I know you guys want to remember these names. When you see the indicator that you like, I always get the questions, what was the name of the one that did this thing? And so right here is the Pro Trade Manager. This is actually set on the highest accuracy setting. So you're going to get very few buy indicators or signals on the indicator. And but it's going to be more accurate. And so therefore it printed one on the 30th of June. What? 3 days ago. Maybe actually 2 days ago, because it was 2 days ago, because it just printed the new daily candle started 2 hours ago. However, this is what I wanted to share with you guys, that, you know, these indicators are obviously very sophisticatedly built on the back end and utilizing the skill set of the creator. Okay. Indicator Trav is what I call him. Now, listen, all of the links for these things are in the description section below. I've actually begun using my website, which is incredible because it keeps everything in one place and it explains everything, you know, and it's just a lot easier because in the description section, you can only have so many links. And I got links for everything because we're doing a lot here. I mean, there's so much that's going on and you don't have to obviously do any of it. But even if you do some, you don't have to do all, right? So that's kind of the point, is that it's obviously an a la carte selection for whatever strikes your fancy. Now, I will tell you, okay, this is pretty profound. Apparently, I'm in my branding today. But I've shared various tools. I've shared various tools in the past, have several tools on my website. But honestly, I've talked to you guys about how excited I am about these indicators. Now, oh, I forgot to say, I probably should have said this in the first minute. One of the reasons why I'm coming on here on a consistent basis, not only to share the value of what I see in these, but also to remind you that the sale is going to be ending. So there's the $100 off per indicator sale going on right now. If you're inside my private community, it's $125 off. And so regardless, these are big, big savings, big, big discounts. And so we had many people buy these when we only had the $50 off coupon, 75 if you were inside my private community. But because of the 4th of July sale, you're going to get $100 off if you're not in my private community, $125 off if you are in my private community on each indicator, right? So several of you guys have pulled the trigger on this thing, okay? Literally, you know, I met with the creator on a Zoom and I said, you know, can I get access to sharing these? And he said, yeah, we don't, you know, we're not really doing like affiliates anymore. But I said, man, these things are super sweet and I would love to share them. And obviously, if there's an opportunity to earn while I'm doing that in the process, that's what I always look for, because I'm going to share things anyway. And he said, sure, we'll set you up. And so they did. And he said, you know, you are officially our fastest growing affiliate ever. And so, you know, again, I don't have a huge audience. Like, this is just me sharing the things that I'm passionate about. And many of you guys have pulled the trigger, many of you guys. And that's what I believe is I think that sometimes, you know, even just in sharing, you won't get a lot of traction or a lot of volume unless the community sees the value that you see. And I think you guys obviously have made that, you know, very clear that you do. So I want to pull this back up again really quickly, guys. Just showing you the accuracy here, that ever since it printed. And I told you guys this was going to happen. I told you, well, let me clarify. I told you that it could go down as well, because none of this is guaranteed. This is like trading. This right here on what I'm sharing with you is not prophetic. That's why I distinguish the difference between predicting and prophesying. This tool is predicting. Prophesying is different. So in my private community, I share what I believe to be prophetic insights concerning the markets. I had no idea God would be doing this before he started. I was simply praying for him to lead me in my own private ventures, because I was involved in trading personally. I was using bots. I told you guys this in Forex, and you know, had a buddy that was manually trading, and I was throwing him some liquidity to see what he could do. A group of us were also in that small group, and just God began to speak, and it was just crazy. And it was in that private group that I first began sharing this, like 7 people in a chat. And I was like, hey, I had a dream, and this is where the market, you know, was. And I feel like this is where it's going, because I have already learned what prophetic looked like in my life. That being said, that evolved. People became astonished inside that little group. Friends of mine and acquaintances were also astonished. The trader himself was blown away. And then, of course, things navigated and shifted into crypto. Since then, it's been precious metals, natural resources. I mean, there's been a lot that he shared with me. In fact, guys, listen up. I want to also throw this out there. There's this new, gosh, I got to share. I'm going to share this. They haven't found out. I need you to listen to this. Gut check. A mysterious parasite is sickening Americans across multiple states, leaving many with severe gastrointestinal symptoms, including what the CDC describes as explosive diarrhea. Health officials are investigating the outbreak, but the source has not yet been identified. Did you hear that? The source has not yet been identified. Listen, I don't know for a fact, but this may be the parasite that's in the beef. Remember, I never heard a parasite. My dream was that there was coming a mass beef recall. I've told you guys this. And then I was on a live with Apostle John Michael McKinney, and he started prophesying over the year. And he said, there is coming what I believe to be an issue with red meat. He says, if the Lord is speaking to you about staying away from red meat, listen to that. He said, I believe it's to be a parasite. And we've talked about the possibility of screwworm and all these different things. I did not hear parasite. He did. Then Brandon Biggs released a word shortly after I shared my dream that he saw a problem with the beef, the cows, and everything. And he's been prophesying about them wanting to feed us insects for years and try to use this as an alternative protein source. And that being said, guys, all I'm telling you is that if you are feeling led that this might be the time to start being watchful on what beef you order, because this outbreak of explosive diarrhea, and I don't know if you remember, but last year, I also had a dream. Okay. I also had a dream. I don't know if this is connected or not, but last year I had a dream. In my dream, there was somebody was running into the bathroom to basically explode diarrhea. But before they even made it, they were vomiting. And so it was just a crazy dream that I shared and I posted last year. And this cruise ship has 120 passengers right now that are on lockdown. With diarrhea and vomiting. Okay, I'm not quite sure if that's related. I'm just throwing these updates out concerning the warnings that I've seen prophetically. But please remember that this nasty parasite that the CDC has not necessarily found the source for yet. They may allow, I got to be careful with my word choices. It might get much larger. Some of you guys caught that. It might get much larger before they discover the source, and then they find out that it's in our beef, and that's what provokes the mass beef recall. I'm just presuming at this point, because it's always the interpretation that we just wait for the prophetic word to be fulfilled, and then we say, look at God. There will be a mass beef recall. I know that beyond a shadow of a doubt. That being said, guys, the link also to get the info on my beef is in the description section below. Many of you guys have taken me up on that and asked for info on the beef. Had a situation the other day where one lady was like, she was about ready to go, but her husband was like, no. And she's like, he doesn't even want to pay to try it. And so I'm like, God put it on my heart to send them some beef from the company. And I sent them a package, and they said, we are sold. We are literally ordering it this week. And so it's very, very good. Very good. So that being said, once again, let's get back to the, so yeah, the link to my private community is in the description section below, guys. If you want to follow those prophetic insights, I do share a lot of those here publicly, just like I'm doing now. But here we have the Bitcoin buy signal printed on the 30th, 2 days ago, and you can see naturally it has gone up since. Okay. Also, silver printed back on the 23rd, and it is now, and I told you it could still go lower. We've talked about this, and it did, but it basically is predicting, like I said, the bottom of the market. And I told you guys back in January, God told me that this was going to be the bottom of the market, the $60 range. That's all I saw. I also have disclosed that it could go lower because we see in part, and I'm never going to say, all I'm telling you is that I'm following what the Lord has been speaking. So I've invested in silver when we got to the bottom. And the links are in the description section below if you want to buy the AGQ, which is a 2x silver, digital silver, where you can buy it in digital form. Some people want to hold the physical form. That's totally fine too. You can do that there as well. But then you have the SLV, the links down there for that as well, where you can buy the 1x silver. So the AGQ is 2x. So every dollar it goes up, you gain 2, theoretically. Every dollar it goes down, you lose 2 on the 2x leverage. But on the SLV, it's just 1 for 1. So because I have seen the bottom, or what I believe to be the bottom, I am on the 2x leverage, guys. That being said, let's get back to the indicators real quick. This is, and remember, on the highest level accuracy setting for silver, watch this. This is why, let me just say it to you like this. I want to speak to the people in the back. Listen to this. What I'm about to show you is where real men are found and discovered. Okay. This can include women. I'm just trying to think of terminology to articulate my point. But this is where, the differentiator is distinguished, where real hardcore, brilliant minds are separated from the dull and arrogant. I'm just telling you the truth. Watch this. I already told you when we were here and it printed that it could go down. The critic, the hater, the naysayer, the skeptic, the mocker, the whatever, that person would say, okay, well, silver's actually down from where it told you to buy. Okay. Well, check this out. I was watching a professional trader video today, and he was saying that I actually bought higher than where it is right now because all of the data was telling me to. And he said, but I want you guys to get in lower than where I got in because that's what makes me happy. And this is, once again, the daily chart, guys. The daily chart is something that, when you're working on the daily chart and you're trading on the daily chart, it can take weeks to months to see the fulfillment of what you were investing to manifest. And so this has only been, 8 days since it printed the candle. But it's demonstrating, as you can pretty much see, that it has seemed to have found the bottom. And you will see that play out in the coming days, whether I'm right or wrong, whether it was right or wrong. And this is where people oftentimes speak before events can even unfold to testify one way or another. They do it with prophecy. It's the same spirit and mentality that is the critic, hater, skeptic, mocker, scoffer, naysayer that will critique the prophetic before it's like in 3 days after the prophetic word was given, you know, as if prophecy doesn't actually foretell the future. It's the same mentality that will, you know, not even allow the sufficient time to go by. You know what I mean? So I'm just, if I'm talking around you, that's fine. I'm talking to the person in the back, right? Like this may not be a message for everybody. Not everybody's going to understand what I'm saying. They're just not. Because the people that are actually that way that I'm describing, they're going to be the ones that have the hardest time with what I'm saying. Their mind's just going to be making up excuses after excuses after excuses after excuses after excuses of how. Man, I just did the deliverance video the other day about this demon that swung at me. And I had a guy on there and he's like, you have no authority over that demon. He's like, if you don't be careful, you're going to see what, you know, the devils are made of or whatever. And I'm like, okay, you work for Satan. That's number one. But number two, how does anybody get by watching a split second, making a judgment call on that, and then neglecting the rest of the entire video, or even before that? Because I think I even deleted the part. I don't even think I included the part where I had told that thing to sit down after it stood up the first time. And it did. It sat down. But then after it did all its debacle or whatever, landed on the floor. And I mean, the deliverance that was ensuing was just pandemonium. 3 people on the ground all at once going through deliverance. That demon screaming for me to stop casting the other demons out of the other people. It's, you know, it's just crazy how some people's minds will work. Go watch that video, by the way, if you missed it. Not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. That being said, you've got Daniel. We talk about this very frequently. We talk about this very frequently, that price points are not discussed until they're fulfilled, except in my private community. All right. It's just the way that it is. And so that's why it's I believe a good time to get involved in silver. But if you want to try to, you know, determine where it's going, I mean, the wise thing to do would be what I tell people all the time: take profits. Okay. You can't lose when you take profits. All right. That being said, we'll go back over the historical just as a reflection here. It's only printed 3 times, guys, in the past 4 years on the highest accuracy setting. Okay, this will be the 4th dot, and it dates back all the way to October 23. So literally just shy of 3 years that this thing is only printed 3 dots. And you can see right here, if we go down where it printed right here, okay? And again, this uses data, guys. It uses data. It's not just, you know, because it dips and prints. No, it actually waited for, in what often professional traders do, and they wait for that confirmation, which is the next day's candle, to confirm. And so it printed the dot, obviously using very sophisticated data. And then, I mean, hello. I mean, that's just, I can't even go as high as the screen goes. That's already 75% profits. It goes way higher, as you can see. But it did it once again back on March 26th, or March of 26, or March 23rd, okay, when silver actually did reach this bottom here at roughly $60. And that's where God had shown me it was going. Next thing you know, it went up 46%. All right, 46%. So these dots, you know, they mean something. Okay, they mean something. And so what I want you to do is pay attention to the trend now that is starting to happen. It's fixing to get bullish again. Now, nothing moves in a straight line. Don't forget that. All right. That being said, guys, once again, for those of you guys who are wondering, this is called the Pro Trade Manager. Hello. This is called the Pro Trade Manager, where it prints the dots to buy. Okay. And so trying to think. Right. I got to get rid of these candlesticks. And the Pro Trade Manager prints when you're supposed to buy and when you're supposed to sell. But then the second one is the market cycle highs and lows. This is my, I don't know, man. I'll be honest with you. The more I've been showing these, this was my favorite one, but I'm pretty confident that I'm tied now between the two. Because this Pro Trade Manager, the more that I've been dabbling with this and even showing you guys and even, you know, understanding it more myself by doing that, it has really convinced me in the benefit of having the two of them for sure. So these are my two favorites, guys, Pro Trade Manager and the market cycle highs and lows. And the market cycle highs and lows, guys, shows you where we are in the market based upon emotion. Okay. We were in the concern range down here. What do they say? Buy the fear, sell the greed, right? And so, and you could see how this played out right here. This was actually depicted as fear. Now we are lower right now, and that's why I love these indicators, because they're so sophisticated. Okay, we're lower now than where we were when it was fear right here. See that light blue? Okay, which matches this fear here. It's the only time we've been in fear since, and that was back in February on the 24th. Even when we had this big, gigantic crash, we never entered into the fear on that indicator, which is very ironic. And so, like I said, it uses much more sophisticated data than simple price action or even this horrific crash that we saw. You know, and that's what I love about this, is that it's way more sophisticated on the back end than you would suppose it would be. But then on the front end for you and I, it's like, you know, interpreted by a fifth grader, you know, simplicity. And this is what I wanted to show you. I've, you know, shared this before, but look at this. If you would have bought in here, you would have been in a great position to be able to take some profits, clearly. And this is what I'm sharing with you about these various indicators. So, and what's interesting, okay, is that when we hit fear here, yes, it printed the green buy, but it doesn't always do that when we hit fear. It doesn't always do that. And so, and, you know, in fact, the buy indicator actually said this was a good time to buy, even though we weren't even in fear. This is why most traders use a combination of indicators to pick, you know, their timing, their entry, and their exit. Then, guys, remember, that's the market cycle highs and lows. That gives you the green green, the color chart over here, and then gives you the graph in colors to correspond with the readings. Okay. Now, then the third one that has the coupon attached to it is the volume bubbles. The volume bubbles are very, very indicative. What I've learned, okay, is that you can basically pay attention to which ones are outpacing to determine the direction of the market. Okay. If look at this, if you would have been here, okay, on this day, and you would have said, you know what, there's a lot of buying going on right now, I can't help but deny. That could have potentially put you in a good spot. Do you understand? You couldn't see it yet on the price action because it was going, down. It went up, it went down, it went up, it went down. And so, but you ended up beginning to see that upward momentum. And here's what I want to also point out too. Whoops. They're not prominent, but they're there. And so when the buyers are outpacing the sellers, that can be a sign of a turnaround. All right. And then so that's volume bubbles. Okay, volume bubbles. And these will also set alerts on your phone, because these indicators that are on your desktop trading view, they will also alert you on your phone. And you'll see them on your phone, which is really cool. That being said, when you have a big a big whale sale, you'll get a notification on your phone. It'll basically, you can label it whatever you want. They're dumping Bitcoin right now. They're dumping into Bitcoin right now. And you can also get alerts for these buy signals on this Pro Trade Manager indicator. Okay. And you can also set alerts for the market cycle highs and lows to tell you when it's dipping into fear. All of these indicators have signals. And so very important to understand. Last thing is the EMA distance analyzer. And don't forget, guys, these are on sale for $100 off right now, except for this one, the last one I'm sharing with you, because it's a different price range than the rest of them. But the reason I am sharing this, is because for the low price point that the EMA distance analyzer has, I really, really like it. It goes to show you how far away from the moving average we are. And so as you can see, when we had this big crash right here, you could see how far away we came from the moving average. And I put this blue line there the last time I did this. It doesn't even compare to anywhere else, on this chart going all the way down. So that could have been very indicative to say buy, right? I mean, seriously, because the RMA distance analyzer showed you how far it came from where it had topped out everywhere else. Okay. It's like 50% longer of a candle. Here's one. There's where June of 2022. Okay, we had obviously some significant pullbacks there. Look at all these volume bubbles, man. Look at all that data that's at your fingertips. And of course, we can open it up and you can even clean it up. If you're like, hey, I want to look at this color chart and it's messing with my eyes. Well, there's your color chart. You can, hide the volume bubbles, make it reappear, and all of the above. So the EMA distance analyzer does not have and remember, look at how far on the EMA distance analyzer, look at how far it's come up to the top, of coming away from the moving average on the high side. So that can be a very strong sell indicator, right? That you're going to want to start paying attention. And that's what I said, buy the fear, sell the greed. And so look at the color, extreme greed, extreme greed. So when it got to this range, it was an extreme greed. Yes, it went a little higher, but that was only after it reached max euphoria. You see this little pink, that little pink line right here from about that distance? You may not be able to see it on your screen, but this is very pink. This is very red. This is very pink. And that pink is max euphoria. That means people are going stupid with crypto right now. And the wise recognize people are going stupid with crypto. And so this would be a time when you would begin to say, let's go ahead and make sure that I either take profits or even potentially exit altogether, because naturally that ended up being the top of the market. Okay. Right. And there were no buy indicators here down in the Pro Trade Manager that whole time. Okay. And the reason is because it probably was depicting that was, unstable, I guess, because I went a little further and it actually went up. All right. Okay. I'm doing my best to show you guys the data here. More importantly, listen to what these things are saying rather than what I'm saying, because they are of a pay grade that is above mine. What they're able to do is way more than what I can do by giving you technical analysis. And that's the point. I'm not gifted in that area. I'm gifted in the area of stewarding the prophetic. That's it, guys. I'm going to jump off here. One last attempt to remind everybody, I have to do at least a video a day on these indicators. I was talking to Trav today and I said, he's like, you're not obligated. I said, listen, I always feel like I have a responsibility to do my due diligence to make sure that the people can never say, well, I wish you would have told me that there was a sale going on because I would have liked to have bought this last week. And I know some people don't always catch every notification, every video. Some people might be on vacation. It's just a matter of me being diligent in my effort to make sure that I do my part to effectively communicate what's on the table. Their own, but at least I was here to be able to give them that data. Okay. That's it, guys. These indicators are pretty much saying that we've reached the bottom of the market. Okay. Now we are stewarding some specific prophetic insights that go beyond the technical analysis. But as I've mentioned over and over and over again, based upon what God has shown me everything that these indicators are telling you right now is accurate, that these are great entry points, wonderful places to buy when they have said to buy. And the ironic thing is if it prints a buy signal and then it goes lower, some people will view that as it was a miss. I would suggest that it might be a better opportunity that it went lower for you to get in, because you can get it at a lower price point. And that's exactly what we've seen on the charts with silver. Specifically, silver, okay, printed back on. I got to show the candles for this one because it's different. It looks different. So this printed back on the 23rd, where it was somewhere in this range. Okay, 64. And that was the day that I bought, by the way. That was the day that I bought silver. And here's the thing. I didn't even see that it printed the candle until after I bought it. I actually think that I went live after the fact and I said, look at that, guys. The candle printed on the day that I made my decision to go ahead and buy. Yeah, they are. However, in the description section, oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yep. There you go. So like I said, back when it printed and guys, this is why this is so cool to me, because this was the day that I felt like I could go ahead and enter the market. Okay. And as you can see, whoops, wrong day. This was the day that I said, I believe I can enter the market today, or that I have the conviction to enter. I had told the Lord, I had told God, because it came down to this range multiple times. And I said, could you do it again, God? And he did. And it came down and I said, well, there we go. He did it. I'm going to go ahead and get in again. And so I did. And boom. After I did, it printed that day that it was the day to buy. But please remember, it went lower. Doesn't matter though. And that's my point, is that some people will look at this and say it's wrong. But I know what God has shown me, and I believe it's right. And so the point is that if you were able to get in at the lower price points, then guys, that's just bonus. That's just bonus. But it's 62 right now, guys. I bought in at 64. Okay? I'm happy with my purchase. So you still have an ability to get in below me. And what's crazy is, I told you I was watching a trader today on his live stream telling his community that he did the same thing. He bought in that same day. And I want people to be very careful about the comments that they make on here, that you're not violating the privacy and integrity of other communities. Okay. That being said, and also the reality is, guys, we don't need all the information in the world. We've got plenty. But like I said, And ironically, with that comment, it's a bit off because he doubled down on his position. He went in even longer. So that being said, yeah. Guys. So I listened to a trader today talking about telling his community that you have an opportunity to get into silver today cheaper than when I got into it. Basically encouraging his people to get in to buy silver today. Okay? And so that's crazy. You ever get that feeling? You ever get that feeling do you ever get that feeling where somebody tells you to buy in here and you feel like you missed your chance because it's done all this here, and you've learned that you don't chase pumps, right? Well, if you had, number one, a buy signal like we have here, telling you it was a good idea to buy on this day when it was even higher, okay? Or the prophetic insights like the ones that God has shown me, that this would be the bottom, okay? When you have that reassurance, then you don't have to worry about feeling like you missed it when, you know, something, you know, that you missed the bottom or something. And when it starts rising, don't feel like you missed it, or you don't have to, is what I'm saying. When you have this type of an indicator, which is predicting, by the way, using data, nothing is guaranteed and nothing has 100% accuracy. However, when you have things like this going for you, and you know that you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, you're diversifying, you're never going to put everything in on one trade, all these different things, unless you're like me and you're following the prophetic. Both of these things is what will make you, presumably, I have to throw that word in there for disclaimer reasons, presumably, both of these things will make you better at investing, more disciplined, making wiser decisions. You ever heard the term follow the leader? That's one of the things that these indicators provide. That's why people buy them, because it's a leading, built by the technology that professional traders use. And I would definitely say the same about prophetic insights, although I don't promote my prophetic insights for people to follow. I promote them for people, well, to follow in the sense of, you know, following along and watching, right? But as for the I just had a revelation about something. As for the my personal financial decisions. I don't have to worry about missing the bottom. That's why I'm glad that I, bought in higher than where it went in the bottom, because I can't be disappointed at all because I know where it's going. So, good question. I'll deal with that one. So, time-wise, I'm not sure, but I've heard, because God, it's very rare that I get time insights. You know what? Let me shoot. Give me 1 second, because I'm bringing something up and I want to have accurate information. Oh, shoot. Whoops. All right. 41%. So on Saturday, I did get a prophetic dream about a coin, a crypto coin that was going to spike immediately. In fact, it was a kind of a shock, because a lot of the things that God's been showing me have been, far out. The first one that they showed me when XRP would take off was like 3 months. The second one, in October 10th crash, was 5 months. And then, so on and so forth. And so on Saturday, I had a dream, and God showed me that this coin was going to go up, and it still got more room to go. But it's gone up 40% since Saturday. From the exact price point that he told me, it's gone up 40%. That's what I was just checking. And of course, those things I only share inside my private community. However, the reason I bring that up is because I don't have a timeline on silver. I did have a timeline on that coin somewhat, because it's still not gone to the place where he's shown me it's going to go. But it's 40% up since that dream. And we've had a lot of people get into that. But of course, that's only stuff that I share inside my private community, and so on and so forth. So that being said, I think that's it, guys. I'm going to jump off. Blessings to each and every one of you guys. And the links are all in the description section below for my private community, the indicators from what I call Guru number 2. And everything's on my website. All right. Blessings, blessings. Bye-bye.